자유란 이런 것이다. 알랭 바디우. 알랭 바디우는 프랑스의 철학자이자 정치활동가로서 프랑스 현대 철학계의 마지막 거장으로 불립니다. 바디우는 니체에서 출발해 하이데거를 거쳐 20세기 중후반 프랑스에서 만개한 탈근대화 흐름에 대항했던 철학자로 유명합니다. 그는 근대 철학에 대한 비판을 수용하며 동시에 벗어나는 새로운 철학을 수행하고자 했습니다. 그는 또 민주주의가 철학 없는 정치를 대표할 수 있다는 주장을 하였습니다. 1937년생으로 현재까지 생존해 있습니다. 그의 명언에 대해 들어보겠습니다.
How do you see the crisis? What's wrong with the world?
What?
What's wrong with the world? What's the crisis in the world?
I think there is two different levels for the crisis. There is an objective level, which is the crisis of capitalism today, the financial crisis and all that. And I think there is also a subjective crisis, which is not immediately the same thing. There is something like disorganization of life, disorganization of thinking, an obscure vision of the future. I think this is the most important point, because for all young women and men in the world today, the future is really obscure. Can we continue as now? It's not really exciting. Can we invent something really different? But it's not unclear. It's unclear. All the politicians, all the governments and so on have only the idea to continue, to continue if it is possible. But to continue only is to repeat, if you want, the situation is not really a good future for young men and women of today. So the philosopher had also to say, okay, there is a crisis, but if we cannot modify immediately the objective crisis, because we are not so powerful to do something like that, we can modify the subjective level of the crisis and to propose new ideas, new vision, new forms of life for humankind.
Can you tell us what sort of new forms you're thinking of?
New form of thinking?
Yeah.
Yes, I propose to say that we must define a new form of freedom. I think freedom today is largely the freedom to buy something, or the freedom to have money, or the freedom to do what we want when we have the money to do. And so the freedom of today is, in fact, a sort of material freedom which is on strong dependency of the situation, of the crisis, and so on. And so maybe we must search and find another definition of freedom which is much more at the subjective level and on the side of creation, if you want, on the side of the possibilities of mankind as such, and in the field of new forms of political organization, new artistical creations, new inventions, new style of life, if you want. And it's a general direction. To propose a new definition of freedom, that's the formal one, a definition today, which is a mixture of materialism, to have money, and to representative vision of politics. We have some governments and so on, but all that cannot define really freedom for today.
My final question, what is your advice for young people today?
I think for young people today, my goal is first to transmit my experience. To transmit my experience of an old man in some sense, which has known something, a really different world before. A world with political hope, with revolutionary ideas and so on. And first to transmit that sort of experience, to understand clearly that all different subjectivities can exist today, because it was not so many years ago. It was some 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We have different subjectivities. It's the first point, the transmission. After all, when we have an experience, we must transmit to young women and men. And after that, to reconstruct the possibility to be optimistic.
시청해주셔서 감사합니다. 구독, 좋아요, 알림 설정 부탁드려요. 사랑합니다.